Hi, this is Conflict Report for someone who lives in Ukraine. Let's talk about the situation on the front line and the changes that have been taking place over the past 24 hours. Let's start with the hottest spot in the recent weeks, the outskirts of Bakhmut. Russian troops regrouped after capturing Solidar and launched attack in three directions at once, trying to expand their foothold. After several days of fighting, they managed to capture the village of Krasnopolivka. Now, the demarcation line here runs along the river, and it's highly likely that Russian troops will try to close the resulting pocket. And let me remind you that the Siversky-Donetsk River flows to the north, so if the city of Siversk is surrounded from three sides, it will actually be encircled, as it will be very dangerous to supply ammunition and reinforcements through the river crossing. Another village stormed by Russia in this region is Krasnohora. It is an important point for the encirclement of Bakhmut. Russian troops are trying to bypass it from the north and have made local gains here over the past day. If Krasnohora and neighboring village Paraskovivka are captured, the enemy army will be able to block the Bakhmut-Slavyansk highway, one of the two main supply channels for the city. Along with the northern direction, the Russian army is also advancing from the southern side of the city and has actually reached the second important highway. It is quite possible that in the coming days we will hear news about the complete encirclement of Bakhmut. We have no news yet that Ukrainian army is withdrawing from the city, but it is obvious that the situation for Ukraine is getting worse every day. Civilians who were still hoping to stay in the city continue to leave. These civilians are taking with them the things they can put in a car. The next Ukrainian fortified area in this region is in a town of Chasiv Yar, which is much higher above sea level than Bakhmut. It provides an opportunity to conduct artillery shelling of Russian positions. Russia, however, is also shelling back. Active hostilities are also taking place in the Luhansk region. It is literally 50 kilometers north of Bakhmut. Over the past few days, the Ukrainian side had been conducting offensive operations. The Ukrainian armed forces have concentrated their troops near the villages of Dibrova and Kuzmine. Dibrova itself was liberated about 2 weeks ago, but since then there has been no news of new Ukrainian territorial gains. To deter attacks, Russia has moved reinforcements to Crimea from the neighboring town of Rubizhne. In an attempt to seize the initiative in this region, Russian troops launched a counteroffensive from the north, trying to outflank Ukrainian positions. The fighting took place on the outskirts of Terny village. In order to stretch Ukrainian troops further along the front, the enemy is trying to organize new attacks in Zaporizhia region. For this purpose, new military units that was formed in recent mobilized soldiers are being brought from Melitopol to Vasilkivka. Over the last day, Russia tried to advance in the area of Lobkove and Stepove villages, but retreated after suffering losses. Attempts to break through Ukrainian positions here are likely to continue. Of the 50,000 prisoners recruited by the Wagner private military company, only 10,000 remained at front. The rest either dead or deserted. These are the figures announced today by the head of the Russian law enforcement organization, which supports the interests of prisoners. According to the head of the foundation, a large number of prisoners began deserting from the Wagner group as early as the fall. Many of them fled back to Russia, taking weapons with them. As an example, in early December 2022, a former prisoner who defected from Wagner back to Russia opened fire on police officers and wounding one of them. In particular, high casualties, both because of deaths and desertions, contributed to the fact that during 2 months of very intense fighting around Bakhmut, Russian mercenaries never managed to take the city before the end of the year, as the head of the Wagner group Prigozhin had promised Vladimir Putin. The only success is the capture of 7 times smaller Solidar, which is next to Bakhmut. According to experts, the failure to capture the city immediately affected the fact that Putin recently dismissed the commander of the Russian forces Surovikin, who was close to Prigozhin. After Prigozhin's unfulfilled promises to immediately occupy Bakhmut, Putin decided to give up his bet on the mercenaries and return the first place to the regular army. For this purpose, he put the experienced General Gerasimov in charge of the entire operation. We will see how it affected the further course of military operations later. And now I would like to show you the video which shows what luck really looks like. And that's all for today. If you want to support this channel, please give a like or leave a comment, or you may support it via Patreon, link to which is in the description. Thanks and live in peace.